Today I'm playing Pokemon, but Pokemon Champions will decide my team. How this is going to work is I will use the cute Pokemon option 6 times, and each set of Pokemon that I'll get to choose from, I will put onto a wheel. Of course, whatever the wheel lands on will be on my team. And I have to finish the entire game with just this team. So I must hope that the wheel must be kind to me so that I can at least have a solid team that I can actually beat the game with. And that can at least use HMs. But with that out of the way, let's do this. I logged into Pokemon Champions and got my first set of Pokemon. Greninja and Tinkaton are the Pokemon that I am hoping for, but the wheel does not care. As I spun the wheel for the first time and got Ordino, which is so disappointing. I mean, I don't hate Ordino, but I don't like it either, but it is what it is. Hopefully the wheel will be nicer to me the next time. I got my next set of Pokemon, which had an insane lineup, which included Infernape, Gyarados, and Cleavor, just to name a few. So I hope that the wheel will be kind to me and at least land on something good. So I spun the wheel and landed on Simisage. I just want to point out that I have never had a Simisage in my entire life. Yeah, I moved on and got the next lineup where there was a Simipour, and I hoped to God that I don't get another one of those dumb monkeys. So I spun the wheel again and thankfully didn't get the monkey and got a Heliolisk, which is okay, I guess. But this does unfortunately mean that I'll have two normal types on my team, which isn't ideal. But at least Heliolisk can learn Surf. So there's that. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't like my team thus far. But thankfully that did change in the next lineup, as I actually got a Pokemon that I liked, and that being Flapple. I love Flapple so much. And now I also have a Pokemon that can learn Fly, which is perfect. Now with just two more slots to fill, I got my next lineup, which didn't look all that good, but I spun the wheel nonetheless and landed on Avalugg. I also have never had an Avalugg in my entire life before, but I actually don't mind it. So Avalugg is in, and now it's time for the final spin, which will also be my final Pokemon. I got my final lineup, and then I looked at the potential and noticed there is a Dragonite. Of course, there is going to be a Dragonite on the final lineup. For those who haven't watched my other videos, I have failed so many times on just getting a Dragonite on my team, as I just want one because it's so awesome. But hopefully this will be the time. Now it's down to a wheel spin. And for a huge moment like this, I will take you to my live reaction. And we don't get them. We get the Pokemon just before it. Of course. Yes, my fourth time of failing to have a Dragonite on my team. I should definitely give up on Dragonite at this point. So yeah, sad, isn't it? But let's look at my team. We have Simisage, Avalugg, Flapple, Heliolisk, Ordino, and Phalanx, which isn't awful. I mean, at least I have Pokemon that can use the important HMs. But now with the team sorted, let's do this. The game started as normal for my rival as he chose his starter, while I started with 6 level 1 Pokemon. Just imagine how confused he must have been in the situation. Anyways, 2 Thunders by Heliolisk thankfully did the job, so the levels didn't play too much of a factor. Heliolisk did get to level 4, which made me realize that I will have to level up all my Pokemon individually. How fun! I leveled them up a bit, then easily beat my rival. I learned how to use Pokeballs even though I'll never get to use them. Then it was first gym leader time. Phalanx handily mopped the floor with this gym. I moved on and battled everyone to get to Mount Moon and got a lovely opportunity to choose a fossil that I will never get to use. I got out the cave, then it was the next gym, where I again was thinking that I would mop the gym's floor, but no. Misty Stormy absolutely soloed my team. So I did the old level up by battling everyone until bolting, including the rival. Then I went to battle Misty again. Starry got KO'd after 1 Thunder, and the same for Stormy. Misty, done. I actually considered dumping one of my Pokemon at the daycare because managing to level up all these Pokemon at the same time is so hard. But where's the fun in that? I moved on to the SSM, battled all the people, then the rival, and won with Simisage, which felt so weird, but I'll allow it. I went to Surge next, where Heliolisk and Flapple did all the work. We easily got our next badge. Then guess what was next, ladies and gentlemen? Of course, navigating the whole rock tunnel without Flash, of course. I've done this so many times, and I still take forever to do this. But eventually, I got out. Whoever decided years ago to make the rock tunnel dark needs to be fired. or has been fight. I don't know. I hate that guy who did that. I got to Lavender Town, battled my way to Celadon, where it was again time for the next jump, which was the most annoying thing. I got affected by so much status conditions that I genuinely might consider this my new least favorite gym. But unfortunately, Future City will always be my top 1 least favorite gym. Eventually I got to the gym leader, where I immediately got stun spored, then eventually KO'd, then again stunned and KO'd, then I sent Flapple and got the W. Then Vileplume KO'd Flapple, then Heliolisk KO'd Vileplume, then I won the battle eventually. 4th badge is got. I then got to the game corner hideout thing until getting to Giovanni eventually, who I did beat quite easily. I moved on to Lavender Town, where it was my next rival battle, where Everlog basically soloed. I must say, Everlog is not that bad. I battled my way up the tower and saved Fuji, got the flute, woke up Snorlax, and then this happened. But besides that, I beat him. I battled until getting to Future, my favorite. I went straight to the gym as usual and had a lengthy stare down with my arch nemesis. I went back to heal up and it was time. 1 Thunder beat Coughing, then Muck time. I used Thunder again, which paralyzed. He used Acid Armor, then I used Charge, which charges up electric moves, which was when he annoyingly landed a Toxic, then I landed another Thunder and beat him. Thankfully, Muck wasn't that big an issue this time. Then his other Pokemon went down after a few Thunders. Koga defeated. At least he wasn't as big a pain in the butt as normal. I then went to the safari, where I had to get Surf, which I taught to Heliolisk. Then I headed off to Saffron, where it was Surf Coat time, which, let's be honest, is so lame. I hate the Surf Coat so much. I battled everyone, then battled my rival again. Thunder, Surf, Ice Wind, Thunder, and Thunder again. And that's all that was needed. Not long after, I had to battle Giovanni again, where he was a little bit of a hassle, as 2 of my mons fainted. But it was a team effort, and I eventually won. And got rewarded with a Master Ball, which I will never be able to use. I then went out to do the dojo, which was quite straightforward. I moved on to the gym, where I led with Heliolisk, and things started to look good as I easily beat the first 2 mons. Then Venomoth went down, then out came her Alakazam, who beat Ordino. She then used Calm Mind and knocked out Heliolisk, then also knocked out Flapple, then Avalon. Then I started to panic. But then she weirdly used Future Sight, which allowed me to use Lick. Then she weirdly used Future Sight again, which is where I licked again and won. That was so weird, but I will take it as she almost beat me. I flew back to Palatown and went south to Cinnabon. I then went to the mansion and got the key. Then it was fire gym time. I battled a few of the trainers in the gym. Then I battled Blaine, where Heliolisk basically just surfed over his entire team. I must say, this challenge gave me a new appreciation for Heliolisk. But anyways, it's time to go back to Viridian as I have to battle the final gym. I battled all the other trainers, and then it was my last battle with Giovanni. I wish that this could have been an interesting battle, but Heliolisk once again just surfed and surfed and surfed and surfed and surfed and won. I got all 8 jump badges with this champion team, but now let's actually see if I can become a champion with the champions team. I went on my way to the Pokemon League, easily beat my rival, and got my way to Victory Road, where I got my last few battles and EXP in. I bought my last few items, I healed up, and now it was time for the ultimate test. I went in for my first battle. Heliolisk Thunder KO's Dugong, Simisage KO's Cloyster, then Simisage got KO'd, but Heliolisk once again came in and saved the day as I beat her next 2 Pokemon. Then it was her last Pokemon, and that being Jinx, who kissed me so much that I will never be able to listen to 1,000 kisses normally ever again. But anyways, I eventually managed to do a move and won with Heliolisk. I healed up my mons after and then went into battle again. A quick surf KO'd Onix. I swapped into Ordino, which wasn't a good idea. A Heliolisk Thunder did paralyze though, but then Hitmonchan KO'd Heliolisk. I then used Flapple and maxed out my defense and just used Leech Seed and used Fly to win. Then the same with Hitmonlee, then the same with Machamp, then Onix didn't stand a chance. I healed up again and then it was the next battle, which was the absolute easiest as I led with Ordino, who Gengar can't attack as his only attacking move is Shadow Punch. So while Gengar used Double Team the whole time, I maxed out Calm Mind, then easily swept the team with Psychic, and then it was off to Lance. A Thunder from Heliolisk will obviously KO Gyarados, then Avalon handled Dragonair, then back to Heliolisk as he wanted to take a surf a bit, then Dragonite just needed a few Thunders, and that was it. And now it's the final battle. I healed up one last time and went forward. Heliolisk, Thunder, Pidgeot. A Surf to Hydon, some Thunders to Alakazam, some Thunders to Executor, some Surfs to Arcanine, and one final Thunder, and that's all that was needed. Heliolisk, who I didn't even like, just soloed the champion. And now, this champion's team is champions. Well done, team, and of course, thank you for watching.